back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my name is April. This little guy over here is my 2-year-old son named Martin. We live in Nashville, Tennessee, and typically on my channel you can find a lot of motherhood, lifestyle, toddler activities, Amazon favorites, hauls, all sorts of things that interest most homemakers. So if that all interests you, make sure you hit the red subscribe button down there. The bell next to it gives you notifications every time I post a video. And in today's video, I am going to be answering 20 stay-at-home mom questions. I became a stay-at-home mom when I had Martin, and before that I had always had a job, sometimes multiple jobs. I went to college, I worked through college. I have my bachelor's degree in psychology with a lot of child development credits as well. I was a preschool teacher for a while. I was a nanny for a really long time. I worked in a trade college doing financial aid. I have had like every type of job you can imagine. So becoming a stay-at-home mom was quite a change of pace for me. It's still a job. It's very much a full-time job, but I wasn't used to not going out every day and working. So I've decided to answer these 20 questions, and if you see me looking down at my phone, it's because I have the questions on my phone. Let's jump in. Number 1, how old were you when you had your first child? Well, I was 31 years old when I had Martin, and I'm really glad I was in my 30s when I had him because I lived my life in my 20s. So, number 2. What was the hardest thing about being pregnant for 9 months? Well, the hardest thing for me is I had a really easy pregnancy, but I found that pregnancy was very boring. I didn't have like a friend who was pregnant with me. I didn't have very many friends who already had kids, and I just felt kind of alone and bored. I couldn't eat any of like my favorite foods, and I couldn't do any of like my favorite fun things like going out or brunch or like drinking. Obviously couldn't do that, and my friends were all still doing that type of thing, so that was a bit of a challenge for me. Number 3, can you think of any good things you enjoyed during those 9 months? Yeah, I can think of a million things I enjoyed. I enjoyed feeling this little guy growing in my belly. We didn't find out his gender while we were pregnant, so I enjoyed daydreaming about if he was going to be a boy or a girl, and I just enjoyed making life. That being said, I do wish it wasn't a whole 9 months. It's a long time, but come here. Come here.
My butt liker.
We'll find it. But I really, really, really enjoyed growing this little guy. Number 4, in your opinion, were all the things you heard about childbirth accurate or way off? I think it's somewhere in between, and I think it's different for everyone, and no one's story is inaccurate to what they experienced, but I mean, it's different for everyone. So I went into it just seeing what would happen. Oh, thank you.
You have 40
Stay-at-home mom life. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this while he's awake. Yeah. Number 5. Would you have handled childbirth differently if you could redo it? I think childbirth went as smoothly as it possibly could for me. We had a couple little complications where they thought that maybe I would have to have a C-section because Martin's heart rate was dropping. I waited as long as I possibly could handle it until I got the epidural. The only thing that I would have changed is I wish I would have had them check to see how far dilated I was before I got the epidural, because I literally got the epidural, and then after they gave it to me, they checked me and they're like, "Oh, well, time to push. You're 10 centimeters. And I was like, what? I just got the epidural. I wanted to take a nap, and the nap didn't happen. So, number 6, what would your advice be for someone who's about to have a baby? Forget everything anyone's ever told you, because every childbirth is different. Every baby is different. Go into it with an open mind and have like flexibility in your plan. Have a plan, but have flexibility in your plan. Number 7, what is the hardest thing about being a mom? I think the hardest thing that nobody really tells you is that you're gonna resent everyone. And you're especially gonna resent your husband because you have this little being tied to you, and you have this little baby, this little toddler, like this child for the rest of their lives that you put before pretty much everyone, and you feel such a mom guilt if you ever don't put the child first. And husbands don't have that. They, like for instance, if I'm doing something and I'm taking care of Martin and I have to use the restroom, I rush and rush and rush and do everything that Martin needs before I go to the bathroom. And in the beginning, I would get so mad if I'm rushing to do these things so that I can go pee, when my husband just like is like, oh, I'm gonna go pee. I'm like, what? He needs things. Like, how can you just drop everything and go pee? He's like, well, I need to pee. And like, I've since like let go of that and been a lot better at asking for help and telling him like, hey, can you cut Martin some strawberries? I need to use the restroom really quick. Whereas in the beginning, I was like, I need to do this. I need to do everything. He needs strawberries or he needs whatever, things like that, and not remembering to take care of myself and not remembering that it is my responsibility to take care of myself. It is no one else's responsibility to make sure that I am taken care of and that I am doing the things that I need to do. But I wish that someone would have warned me about that. Anyways, I hope that makes sense. Number 8, what is the most rewarding thing about being a mom? I definitely think the most rewarding thing is just like when you know you're doing a good job. When your child does something really sweet or really well, or just like very kind or seems very happy, it just is like the best payment in the world. Martin has become such a sweet child, and he will say the sweetest things. And when he says the sweetest things, my heart just like melts. I'm like, oh, I have to be doing something right because that was so sweet. Number 9, what is the most surprising thing you discovered about being a mom? I think the most surprising thing that I discovered is a lot about myself and a lot about my level of patience and how every day can vary on that. Some days I can be like the most patient person in the world, and other days everything irritates me. And I think that that's the same with my child. Some days we wake up in a great mood, and some days we wake up and it's like, ooh. I'm definitely surprised at how patient I've become. Before having Martin, I was not very patient, and I think now I've greatly improved upon that skill. Number 10, how do you find time for yourself? Like I've said, finding time for myself was a big learning curve for me and a big challenge, but the one thing that I have always found time for is working out. Before all of this quarantine isolation stuff, I would go to the gym, and when Martin was really, really little, we lived in an apartment and we had an apartment gym, so I would take him in the carrier and he would pretty much sleep through my entire workout. And then as he got older, I started going to a gym that had childcare, which was like amazing. I loved it. And then I switched to the YMCA, which also has childcare. And again, I love that as well. It's great. Being able to work out is how I have my own time. It's 1 hour a day. I know he's having fun with friends. He's in great care, and I get to take that time for myself to do something that makes me feel good. Now that we're in quarantine, I wake up before Martin does, and I get a workout in. So it's not as ideal, but I'm still doing something for myself. And that's the one thing I will not give up. I have to work out, otherwise I'm just in a black mood. Number 11, what was the most exciting milestone? Exciting milestone for me was when Martin started clapping. I know it's like a really weird one, but he took forever to clap. And then the first time he clapped, we were in church listening to the music before the service started, and he just like started clapping and having the best time ever. It was the cutest thing, and that one like really stuck out in my mind. So I think that was my favorite. Number 12, what is the worst thing your child has ever done? I don't think there's a worst thing. He's only 2. Everything's developmental, but he went through a phase where he was hitting, and that was pretty challenging because he would hit other children, and it was really rough because I was trying everything I could to teach him that that's not something we do. And eventually he outgrew it, or the things I was teaching him sunk in. But so far that was the hardest time for me. What is one habit you wish your child didn't have? I mean, he's only 2. He doesn't really have any habits. He's a messy eater, but I think he'll outgrow it a little bit. So I don't really know. Number 14. What habit of theirs makes you most proud? Definitely that he always says thank you. He calls everyone sir, and he goes, "Oh, thank you, sir." And I just love that he's becoming so polite, and it is so sweet. Number 15, do you share any similarities with your child? They could be physical or personality. We have a very similar personality, except he's way, way, way more outgoing than I am. We are both very independent, both very strong-willed, very stubborn, and it shows. But I've also grown out of a lot of those things. They really, really showed in my teenage years, but I'm a lot more easygoing now. And so I'm hoping that because I know how challenging having those traits can be, I'm hoping that I can help him to navigate those feelings and navigate those traits, to use them in a way that is good, because every personality trait can be a positive and a negative. And I'm just hoping that his independence and strong will result in like a strong work ethic, something that I've also always had. Number 16, where would you like your child to be in 10 years? So in 10 years, he'll be 12. And 12, in my experience, is a very challenging year. All the middle school years I find to be very challenging. And so all I really want for him at that age is for him to have a kind soul. I just want him to be kind to other kids. I want him to be true to himself. I want him to be sweet. And I want him to be empathetic to others. So that's all I can ask for. Number 17, what is something that having a child has taught you? Something that having a child has taught me is to go with the flow and never to have very serious plans. Because whenever you have very serious plans that you really want to follow, things fall through and things don't happen the way you expect them to, and then you're disappointed. So I've learned just to go with the flow, hope for the best, but if it doesn't happen, oh well, it's fine. We'll try it again another time, and everything's gonna be okay. Number 18, did you imagine that you would be this type of mom? Yes and no. I imagined that I would be doing the things that I'm doing with Martin, but I did not in any way ever imagine that I would be a go with the flow type of mom. I thought that I would be a very strict scheduled mom, and I'm not. We have like a general guideline of a schedule, but I'm a little more flexible than I thought I would be. I didn't imagine that this is how it was gonna be, and I just imagined being a little bit more of a put together Pinterest mom. but I'm definitely more of a go with the flow and try to incorporate a few Pinteresty things. But if they don't happen or they're a disaster, oh well. Number 19, describe your child in a single sentence. Martin is always on the go and a very sweet boy. Number 20, how have you changed as a person since becoming a mom? Well, I think I've kind of answered this quite a few times, that I've changed in becoming a more patient person. I've changed as being a more empathetic person. I'm definitely more aware of the world around me. And I just think overall Martin has made me into the best version of myself. And I'm learning from him every day and changing every day. I've definitely become more of a loving person, and I've definitely started to love people more. I'm naturally an introvert, but having him has made me a bit more social and has made me want to be more social. So I think Martin has changed me in the best possible ways. I know that I am the best version of myself because of him, and I am so excited to continue to grow together because I genuinely learn from him every single day. All right, guys, that is 20 stay-at-home mom questions. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you got to know me as a person and as a mom a little bit more. If you like videos like this, make sure you give me a thumbs up so I know to make more. And in the comments, let me know what about you has changed since you had your child. I would love to know, and if you are new, don't forget to hit the red subscribe button down there. It would mean the world to me if you joined my YouTube family, and the bell next to it gives you notifications every time I post a video. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys. Oh, P.S. I'm sorry if you heard Buzz Lightyear going on throughout this entire video. We got Toy Story on, we got Buzz Lightyear down here, I've got a toddler running wild. This is true stay-at-home mom life. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Push the button.
Make sure you hit the red subscribe.